and welcome to episode 52 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It is the head coach of the University of Rhode Island Rams men's basketball program, Archie Miller. I appreciate you taking the time out of what I know is a busy time of year with recruiting and everything like that. How are you today, Coach?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a busy time. I think any time that you can kind of catch our staff right now at the beginning stages, but it's always good to get out there and give a quick update, get a chance to talk to you guys is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Well, it does mean a lot again. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit more about the program. So right off the bat, I think Rhody fans want to know, why you are. You've answered this question a little bit before, but what led you to, take the job at the University of Rhode Island? And how did you know you were ready and this would be the most comfortable fit after a year off from coaching?
Well, I think just taking some time off was great for me. I got a chance to sort of decompress and, not very often in any profession do you get a chance to sort of, take a deep breath and, sort of reevaluate things on how you do it. If you want to keep going, where you do it, if you want to keep going, who would you want to do it with, most importantly. And I think that's what sort of struck gold, I think, for me. Was having the opportunity to connect with Thor and getting a chance to communicate with him through the process and just having a connection. I think it's so important to be successful to have, the people that are with you and above you in line with you. And I think, what Thor and President Parlange were looking for in this next opportunity for University of Rhode Island was sort of the same thing I was looking for. We want a chance to build together. We want a chance to kind of do it in a different way than it's been done in the past. And I was looking for a place that loves basketball. And I know the support that URI and our fans have. And I was looking for a place that you can, attract great players, which Rhode Island basketball is synonymous with great players through dozens of years. And, but I just think right time, right place, more importantly, the right people. This was something that made sense for me to, align myself with really good people here at the University of Rhode Island.
Absolutely. So I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to come back to the University of Rhode Island, but just more questions about you as an individual and some of the jobs that you've had. But a question that I love to start with on this podcast is, what is your why, or, what motivates you?
Improving people, having an opportunity to be involved with all kinds of different people. I think most people would look at coaching and saying, you have to, be a great connector of people, because you're dealing with different ages. And what I mean by that is your assistant coaches are just as important to be able to motivate and develop and grow with, just as your players are. You really run, a Fortune 500 company, so to speak. You're in charge of a place that's important to a lot of people. It's an important component to the university's image and brand. And to make it all work, you have to be able to relate and connect to people and make them better. And I think, as I reassessed myself and I wanted to get back in it, the thing that I missed the most was helping people, get better, grow, develop, motivate them, inspire them to be something that they can't be. And I think, from my standpoint, it doesn't just start and stop with our players, although they're the most important component to everything that we do on an everyday basis. Your assistant coaches, their families, everyone around you matters. And I think just being a part of people, being a part of a team, having the ability to motivate, connect, make them better, is something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, no, I think what you touched on right there about kind of being an educator or being a teacher to these students of yours, to these players, is so important in terms of building chemistry and just for the future of the program. So I'm glad you brought that up. I want to go into a couple of, again, some of the jobs that you've had prior to the University of Rhode Island. I want to start with Dayton. So after taking several assistant coaching jobs, you landed your first head coaching job at Dayton. Definitely saw some success there. The elite run in 2014, a couple of NCAA tournament appearances the following years, and then 2 Atlantic 10 regular season championships, as well as the 2017 Coach of the Year. So my question for you is, you know the conference pretty well. I'm wondering, what you believe worked at Dayton and what you want to take away from that experience and apply here at the University of Rhode Island.
Well, I think, a lot of people, you know, really, take for granted that, it starts at the top of the university and it trickles down to the administration into your staff. And I think one of the things that I was very fortunate to be a part of at the University of Dayton was a tremendous leadership group ahead of me. And, they did everything in their power, not only to help our staff, but, keep our staff motivated, continue to develop with our staff, upgrade facilities, upgrade resources along the way. And, at the early stages, as we were building and growing, they were right there alongside us. And when we started to have great success, nothing changed. I think everyone stayed the same and we stayed with the same goal. So I think, that was the big component, I think, at the University of Dayton, is the leadership and the people within the university and the community that help you. There's a tremendous amount of support. And, we were great benefactors of that. I think, some of the things from the basketball side of things that, obviously are staples, and it'll be a staple here, is obviously recruiting young people that want to be a part of what you believe in. So many times in the recruiting process, you can get caught up in where's he from, or who's he play for, or what's his ranking, how many stars does he have, et cetera. And, I think the thing that gets, sort of misguided a little bit along this process is, what are they signing up for? Do they believe in what you believe? And I feel like we had a tremendous amount of success at the University of Dayton in pushing our belief system and pushing, the experience of being a student athlete at that school, and pushing the opportunity to play in front of great fans, and really to be a part of something special that's bigger than just the individual guy. And I think we had so many guys, in our time there that had tremendous, careers and seasons. And, really, to be honest with you, you look back on it and they were about the right things. So I think as you build here in a climate, in a climate that's way different than it was, back then, in terms of the transfer portal, you have name, image, and likeness out there now combined with it. There's a lot of things in the recruiting world that really start and stop without you even starting to entertain the educational process or the experience that you're going to get, or the winning. So we've really dove in here early, and will continue to do so, in making sure that guys believe in the same things that we do. And I think, we don't want to be a program that has 12 transfers on the roster. We don't want to be a program that brings in 6 to 7 transfers every spring. At that point, you really don't believe in your own development system, if that's the case, because you have to be able to look at young people at 17 years old, 18 years old, see something in them, believe in them, and have them look back at you at some point in time during their career and say, you told me this would happen. That's the most gratifying experience you can have as a coach, is when you look at a guy a few years down the road after they join you, and you go through the ups and downs, but they look at you and they say, you know what, I remember when I was a junior in high school and you told me that this was going to happen. And you can change them, forever, with that. And I think we want to be a program that builds around tremendous young talent, high school kids that we see that we can make different, that want to be a part of something special, and getting them there, and then having them teach more young people. And granted, there's going to be some transfers here and there out, and there's going to be some transfers here and there in. That's just now part of the landscape. But I do think I really envision us being a program that has to grow up together here early, and see some young people come in the door in the first couple of years and be the backbone of what we're doing.
Yeah, and I love that you touched on recruiting. It actually brings me into one of my next questions. So, I've just been really impressed with exactly what you talked about, you and your staff, and your approach this offseason, just building up the young talent for the future. It's not all about bringing in transfers, like you said. And with the way that the transfer portal is going now, it's kind of confusing in terms of eligibility and stuff like that. But I did sit in on your most recent press conference where you introduced your staff. You spoke about having a balanced roster, making it more high energy, fast paced, having a guard heavy team. It just kind of reminds me of Rhode Island Rams team from 2017 to 2018 that made the tournament, very guard heavy. And I know we actually lost to a lot of those kinds of teams last year as well. So to kind of emerge into, a group of people or individuals that are pure scorers and on and off the court are, have a high IQ in terms of basketball and also in the classroom. I've talked to Brayan Freeman, Lou Hutchinson, and most recently Roy Stewart, and they have pretty much said all of that you're not really rushing into this process and that you're looking for specific individuals that will be right fits or comfortable fits for this program for the future. So I was wondering if you could just briefly talk about, how this process is going currently and as we approach the fall.
Yeah, recruiting is an ongoing everyday battle, and it changes by the minute, and I think, the transfer portal has created really a false sense of security out there. To me, because of the transfer portal, everybody just thinks you can go jump in that thing, grab a few guys, and boy, you're going to be great next year. When in reality, the transfer portal is filled with players who can't play, that are leaving the wrong place because they went to the wrong place, that haven't produced, and in many ways are leaving a place looking to go somewhere for themselves or some other issue. So I mean, a lot of the portal doesn't really exist, and it doesn't really exist for us. As we've sort of dove into recruiting, we're looking to start with people that we can grow with. I think the big thing is, let's not add just a bunch of guys and let's figure it out next year as well. That to me is a recipe for a lot of hard work and starting over. And I think what you'd love to be able to do is bring a core group here in this first year and have them all return year and year after year in some cases, whether they're high school kids or whether they were, a one-time transfer. If it's a one-time transfer, that guy has an opportunity to play right away. But how old is he? Does he have 3 left, 2 left? Because, in that regard, you have a guy with you. So I think that was a big thing as we've kind of looked at what we're doing, is trying to get a group that can come in here and we can have them again and again. So we can have those guys sort of trickle down some of the experience to our new players as we dive into the high school class, in 2023 and 2024. But you're right about style. One of the things I will not deviate from here is just adding players to add players or adding talent to add talent. We have to have a certain fit for how we're going to play. We're going to move really, really back into what I believe in terms of the pace on offense, makes and misses, the skill level on the floor and the versatility, the shooting on the floor. We've got to get back to being, a team that's hard to guard. We have to be back to getting, back to the way we were, even in our teams at Dayton, where we were hard to prepare for, because we had a lot of interchangeable parts. We had a lot of skill, but we also had a lot of pace, and we could come at you in different ways. And I think that's the ultimate goal here, is to play a style that's really up and down, but also playing a style, especially in the half court, where there's a lot of guys that can play the game, dribble, pass, and shoot. But we're going to play the game the right way in terms of being able to be clean and execute and be smart and don't turn it over. And to do that, it's going to take a lot of time, but I do feel that our style of play is going to be one of which, as we get going, is going to be an attractive one for guys who can, have a skill level to them, that have some speed to them, that can shoot. We also have to be a tough-minded group on defense. As much as you talk about recruiting and as much as you talk about development of a program, I think everyone just kind of goes to offense. If you think back to, Coach Hurley's teams at the end, those 17, 18 teams, even some of his teams prior to that, they did have guard-heavy teams, but they have tough guys who competed and played very hard. And defensively, they were very, very good, especially in conference play, one of the best defenses in the league. And I think in our time at the University of Dayton, we were one of the best defenses in the league. You win conference championships. You have great regular season success with a team that has the fabric built on toughness and defense. You can win in the NCAA tournament or in postseason play, but sometimes you're going to have to score the ball. Sometimes you're going to have a couple guys that can get baskets. You have to be able to shoot, because as it gets really hard late in March and in February, whether it's in conference on the road whether it's your conference tournament, whether it's postseason play, whether it's an NCAA tournament game, those games become so grind-esque because everybody is so good and the possessions matter that you have to be able to execute and you have to be able to score. But to get there, you got to be good on both ends of the floor. And I think that's the thing that we have as we recruit is a toughness, a talent, a coachability part of it as well. But obviously from a style perspective, every guy that we've been able to identify and be able to bring here or are recruiting to bring here, to me, fills a specific need, and we're hunting the opportunity to bring a different style of offense to the table.
Yeah, and I think what you talked about right there is just not, especially with the transfer portal, not kind of, giving an offer to everyone that walks through the front door, sort of picking out, who you believe is going to be comfortable fits, who you believe is going to be right fits for the program for the future. I feel like that was kind of the problem the last 2 years with this program is that, we were kind of bringing in a lot of transfers. And when you bring in a lot of transfers, they're coached by different coaches prior to coming to URI. They're with different programs who run things different ways. So I believe the chemistry wasn't really there. I talked with Sebastian Thomas, and he even said that as well. Like, there were a lot of mistakes during some of the games that were very easily to fix. But I think now with the way that the program is moving, like you just talked about, bringing in people that have a purpose and that will fit somewhere, I think that will definitely help, as we move on through the future and get back to where we once were with Coach Hurley. So my next question is actually about Indiana. So following Dayton, you went on to coach at Indiana, potentially an NCAA tournament appearance, unfortunately canceled due to COVID in the first couple of years there. But with things maybe not going the way you anticipated at Indiana, what is the biggest takeaway or just lesson learned from that experience?
There's a lot of lessons learned. I think, when you don't succeed or you in your mind didn't get the job done, you have to take a hard look at yourself. It's really not about anybody else. And when you have some time to do that, I think you can really come to grips with how, moving forward, you'll do things differently. And, I think, the biggest thing at Indiana was we lost momentum. We really did. As we grew, when I inherited the job, we were preseason, I think 11 out of 14 in the Big Ten my first year. But at a place like Indiana, nobody cares about that. You know what I mean? They don't understand at the very beginning stages where we started from. And, we had to recruit a lot of young people. We replaced, I think, brought in 6 new guys our second year. And, to me, as we were building from year 1 to 2 to 3, I felt like in year 3, we had finally cracked the ice, broke through the NCAA tournament. And, when you get to the tournament, anything can happen. You win a couple games. Next thing you know, your momentum is now steamrolling. But because of the COVID cancellation and because of that stoppage, I felt like, number one, we lost a lot of momentum. There wasn't any difference between us making the tournament that year and us missing it for the 3rd year in a row. Nobody cared. And as you go into year 4, all of a sudden you're in the midst of the COVID return. We had lost our starting center for the beginning of the year, before we got started. Then we had a big injury late in the year with Armand Franklin, our starting 2-guard, for like the last 6 games of the regular season. And we sort of really faded right at the wrong time. And, when the change was made, as I evaluated things, to me, if I was going to do it again, the number one thing is ability to relate as a staff better, teach as the head coach your staff and your players better, and be committed 110% to the style that you love to teach and play. And I think, moving here, that's been the number one thing as I've gotten going, was surround myself with a staff that I believe in, that I want to teach how we do it, that can then relate and teach at a high level with our players. And as we recruit, we're full-blown 110% committed to the specific style of player and kid that we have to be successful with. Not everybody's for me, and not me for everyone. But the guys that we want to bring here have got to be able to play my style and be able to, adhere to what we're doing every single day. And we'll have success that way. But we can't deviate. And I think as the head coach, especially for me, being a better teacher, as much as you are anything as a coach, you're a teacher. You really are. I mean, you have to have the ability to teach different people different ways the same thing and get that point across and teach them how to do things, because your staff and your team wants to do well. And not all the time, while they're struggling or not getting the job done, do they not want to do well. It's just up to you as the head coach to find a group of people that can help you teach it, help you develop it, and as a team, really buy into that. And I think, for me, if you ask me, what's the number one thing you have to do better as a coach as you take over the University of Rhode Island, I have to be the best teacher that I've ever been. And I think that's why I'm so excited to start here, is because as we get going with this new staff, being able to start right away with them and teach them what we're doing in terms of how we're going to do it, how we're going to recruit, how we're going to do individual instruction, how are we lifting weights, how are we doing everything from A to Z, and then have them trickle that ability to communicate with our players and relate to them and motivate them, but start up from ground zero, and I think, being a better teacher is probably the thing, as simple as I could make it. That's the most important thing for me as I do this, is to be a great communicator and a better teacher.
Yeah, and I think again what you just mentioned there, just communication in general. Basketball is a team sport, making sure that everyone is aware, from the staff to the players to even the managers, of the way you're going to run things, whether it's in games or practices or anything like that. And I think another thing that you brought up is that a lot of people as a head coach are relying on you, to do your job successfully. And, there's a little bit of pressure put on you, but if everyone is sort of communicating and on the same page about things, then you'll be a successful program. And that actually leads me into, my next question, which is, with Rhode Island having, a frustrating performance, a big losing streak in conference play last season, that did result in low attendance at games and the student body not 100% coming out to the Ryan Center. Just overall kind of a low morale from the Rhody faithful and just the community itself. So I'm just curious, what your plans are to work with Thor, Shane, and even Tammy to, just attract fans to invest in these programs and come out to the Ryan Center.
Well, nothing's more important to your program than your home court advantage. And it's one of the things that attracted me here. I had the opportunity to bring teams here and play against the Ryan Center, so to speak, in terms of the crowds. And it's the one thing that I was always enamored with, is that, number one, they have great fans at Rhode Island. Whether you were playing in Brooklyn or whether you were playing in the Ryan Center, there's tremendous support. So you have a great fan base. You also have a great student body on campus. This is a great campus quality of life. There's a ton of vibrant young people on a big time campus going to school every day, and it's a basketball school. And you know what? It's the thing to do. But we have got to do an unbelievable job as a program of connecting with our fans, giving them, reason that they want to be around us, and then on game day, giving them a product they want to see. As much as it is fans coming to the games and what are you going to do to get them there, blah, 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 you got to put somebody out there that they want to come and support. I think that's the most important damn thing, is how hard do you play? How tough are you? How committed are you to playing together? When they watch you play, do they see a connected group? Do they see a tough-minded, hard-playing style of play that's fun to play and watch? But most importantly, are they playing to win? Are they playing for the University of Rhode Island? And I think they got to see that chemistry from your bench. They got to see that chemistry from your team. And we have to bring the energy ourselves. Our product has to sell. But we have to get out there. Our student body, that student section in that end zone of the Ryan Center is as good as any in college basketball, especially the times that I've been in here and stood right next to them for a 40-minute game, So like that is a big time advantage. And I also think that the facility is beautiful. I mean, you walk in there every day. I mean, you're in one of the best facilities that you can possibly play in. It's basketball centric. And, I've never been at a place, to be honest with you, where that wasn't the case, where you didn't have great fans, but you had to bring the energy. You have to have that connection. So our players and myself and our staff are going to have to work with our fans year round. We have to interact with them in different ways. We have to get out in the community. We have to be on campus. We have got to recruit our crowds to games. And you know what? If we do what we're supposed to do and put forth that effort, I know we'll get it back, because they love Rhody basketball. And I think the bottom line is we have to turn the Ryan Center into a special event. It's not just a game. It's where you have to be when we play. And we'll get there. We'll get there. And I think most importantly, I think one of the reasons is people are going to want to watch us compete. People are going to want to watch us play because we're going to play the right style. But more importantly, they're going to look at a group that's doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about energy and, just the atmosphere in general. I can relate back to my freshman year prior to COVID in 2019, when we were beating opponents like Alabama and PC, and Obi Toppin was coming in to the Ryan Center. So it was definitely exciting, and we're not far off from getting back there. But like you just said, recruiting fans, finding ways to connect with the student body or even season ticket holders. I know you recently did an event with Tammy on, recruiting the season ticket holders to come back next season and to invest in the program. So really just recruiting players to, end up recruiting the fans essentially. So yeah, no, it's really cool how everything is connected like that. And ultimately that will lead to success down the line. But two more questions for you, Coach. What is something that Rhody fans don't know about you that, you would like to share with them?
Oh, wow. Anytime I get proposed with any type of question about myself, I really, to be honest with you, I struggle because I feel like everybody knows everything about me anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm very low key. I'm a very low key guy. If I'm not doing something for our basketball program, I'm usually, just to be honest with you, taking 5 minutes to breathe and hanging out with my family. I'm very low key, and I'm not looking to be on social media, so to speak, at NBA games or baseball games or concerts or all over the place. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I'm pretty much spending my time investing in what I'm doing, which is URI. And if it's not the case, and I have 10 minutes to myself, I'm probably sitting at home with my family, and at the end of the day, trying to figure something out to watch on Netflix or something. But I'm not very complicated. I really am not very complicated. I am excited to get settled in this area. It's an unbelievable area to live. And it's the first time that my family and I have ever really kind of settled in the Northeast, especially the New England area. We've been all over the place, but we've never been up here. So this is a great, exciting time for our family as we get transitioned here. Excited to live up here and, see the ocean and kind of be up here in the New England area. So this will be a new experience for our family.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from New York originally, but coming to Rhode Island for a similar reason. I just moved back onto Long Island, but yeah, just for the ocean and, the seafood and a lot of the cool spots around there. My dad
No
also,
question. Some of the best food in the country around here.
yeah, my dad also went to URI too. And I've been watching the program for years, even during the Coach Hurley era and everything like that. So definitely a big fan. And now being in sports media to cover the program is very exciting. And I'm looking forward to this next chapter. But
good deal.
yeah, no, last question for you. We're extremely excited to have you, and that you chose the University of Rhode Island. So I'm just wondering, what are you most excited about having this opportunity?
I'm really just excited to join forces, I think, with great people at URI. President Parlange being at the very beginning of his tenure here, and me having an opportunity to get up and running with him. Thor has been here for a long time, but most importantly, he's a very caring person. He's a guy that, really, aspires all of his student athletes to do well. But in this case, when it's pointed towards men's basketball, knows how important it is for us to be successful. So I think when you have a group of people that want you and give you an opportunity, you want to be able to deliver back for them. And I think most importantly for me, I've always been a guy that, kind of just checks the box in getting the job done. And, my last opportunity out there, in my mind, I did not get the job done for the people that meant the most to me at that place. First time in a long time, I kind of looked at myself and said, man, I didn't deliver, in the way that, I was supposed to. So in this case, I'm very, very motivated to be here. I'm very excited to be here, but at the same time, I'm very driven to get the job done for the people that, so to speak, gave me the opportunity. Somebody's got to want you. Somebody's got to want to give you an opportunity. Somebody's got to think that you can get the job done for them in the ways that they want to do it to represent the university. And I think for me, as I look back at, coming here, there was a want, there was a need, but at the same time, there was a want to be with people. There was a need to be with great people. And most importantly, there's a drive right now to get the job done collectively. But I want to check that box for the people, again, who gave me the opportunity. I want to look down the line here and be very proud of what we did, and our players and what we did, and our coaches and what we did. But most importantly, want to give those guys the opportunity who gave us a chance, to feel like that they made the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. A fresh start is always good, no matter where it is, and
No question.
definitely a better opportunity, and time to turn the page, essentially. So, Coach,
No
thank you so
question.
much again. Thank you again for taking that time. I wish you guys the best of luck next season. I'll definitely be at the Ryan Center supporting and obviously covering some games too. I do student-run radio and a couple of other things there. I think I'm going to have an internship as well somewhere. So, yeah, definitely going to be at the Ryan Center. I hope we'll get some more fans there and start to see the success coming in pretty soon. But, of course, go Rhody, and appreciate you taking the time again.
No problem, man. Great having you. I look forward to being back and seeing you down the line. Good luck with everything you're doing. But most importantly, like you said, go Rhody.